This week on Real Dudes Podcast, we talk about Towards the Pantheon, and then we dive into the highly anticipated sequel to Kid Tripp, Miles and Kilo. After we talk about some news, we'll go into the off-topic discussion of, are fanboys really considered fanboys if they're exclusive to one console? We don't know, but we talk about it. All that and more in this episode of Real Dudes Podcast. Welcome to Real Dudes Podcast. My name is Kyle, and today we've got a packed out show for y'all. We've got Andrew.
What's going on?
Is he there?
What, can you not hear me?
No, I couldn't.
No? Okay. Yep.
He's here.
Well, we're just going to leave it in there. There's
Fair
Andrew.
enough.
And we've got Karrington.
Hey.
And we've got Cody.
Hey, y'all.
Guys, just gotta say, it is nice to be back together for an episode.
Together again.
All right. Heck yeah.
Yeah, that was an old Bronson Royal commercial. Good stuff. Bronson Royal was a pitcher for the Reds, for those who don't know.
Oh. I'm sorry, but I'm not sports savvy.
It's all good in the hood. When I was younger, his commercials came on all the time.
I got the reference, but barely. Because, let's be honest, I'm sorry, Phil, but baseball is a dying sport.
Oh, my heart.
It's
Just had the All-Star
words
game
right
and
there.
the home run derby. We just had a
saying.
celebration of baseball.
Dude, it's true. You know it's true. It's a dying sport.
Celebrate good times. Come on.
Well, fellers, just wanted to let you know, Karrington bought a car. Karrington, take it off.
I did buy a car, and I actually have it now because last episode I was looking around, and here's the update. All right, so I got a car from a website called Carvana. It's a used car website, so I want to see what it was like. And so I got the Nissan Leaf, picked the trim level that I wanted, and got the stuff that I wanted, and they had it. Set the time and date that I wanted them to deliver it. And so it took about 2 weeks, so since the last time we recorded, basically. And it was an interesting experience. It was very easy and painful, to say the least, which was surprising because it's a car. So when they delivered it, actually, it was on a truck bed, and I got to test drive it first to make sure everything was all good, and I inspected it. It all looked good. It was what I ordered. Well, actually, the one on the website was the mid-trim level. I actually got the high-end trim level, and it was fully decked out, so it was a mistake on their part. Ayo! And so, yeah, I have a Nissan Leaf. It's in my parking space right now, charging it up.
How long does it take for you to charge that?
So right now I have what's called a level 1 charger, so it takes a while, or trickle charge as they call it. So it takes a while. It tries to go to 80% and it slows down significantly after that. So it takes about 12 hours to fully charge from a dead battery. But I haven't had that yet, so.
Okay, now my next question. Does it have a gas engine backup, or is it strictly electric?
It is strictly electric. It is not a hybrid system in any way, shape, or form. It is all electric.
Interesting.
With a range.
So what happens if you break down?
Well,
He's
someone's
up a
going to have to come
creek.
pick me up, and I'll have to pick up the car.
Because there is not going to be
man.
very many mechanic shops in the country that are going to know how to work on that thing, let alone around here.
There's a few.
There's a few. Yeah, there's a few.
A few.
Yeah, come down near me, and there's a couple.
Yeah, there's one near me, and there's one near work, so that's all I need.
So as far as charging the car, I mean, is it just like, because I don't know much about electric cars at all. How do you charge it? Is it just an extension cord straight to the front of the car? Because I saw where the plug goes in.
Yeah, so it actually comes with its own like plug or whatever, and you just got to plug into any normal wall outlet.
That's crazy.
It is. It's pretty awesome. Kind of weird, but it's pretty awesome. At a full charge, it has about 117 mile range. So I have a 2017 Nissan Leaf.
117 is not much, man. Oh my gosh.
No.
You say that, but it's enough for a commuter car. That's all I'm using it for.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that'll definitely save you money on gas and
Oh, yeah. And calculated everything. It only cost me about 20 to 30 bucks extra on my electric bill. So that's not a bad idea either.
Nope. Nope.
You get a tax cut or something at the end for having an electric car?
I don't. Hold on. My sound's messing up.
Yes, you are.
You sound like a supervillain.
He's the screenslaver.
All right. How do I sound now?
There you go.
There we
Better.
go. So
Much better.
Where was I at? There's plenty of charging stations here in town and by where I work. So if I have to charge, it's not a big deal. They have superchargers by where I work and here in town, and that takes 30 minutes as opposed to several hours.
Nice. I saw pictures of it. It looks pretty cool.
It's pretty dang fancy, and it is pure torque. So it gets up and it goes fast.
Nice. Straight into another dimension. Speaking of other dimensions, there's this dimension called Patreon.
What? Tell us about it.
So over the last week, we have been working on our Patreon page, trying to make it a little bit better for our listeners to help support us. We have 5 tiers set up, ranging from pretty affordable, everyday prices, to support us, all the way to maybe if a company's want to sponsor us, we have a certain tier set up for sponsorships. You get cool merch with different tiers. You get shout outs on the interwebs and shout outs on the podcast as well. Most recently, our most recent Patreon or patron would be Phil Hoff. And
Wait,
say,
Phil Hoff, the chef?
the chef.
He's
I know
gonna hate
him.
that. He's gonna hate that.
So yeah, just want to give a shout out to him and thank you for your support. We have goals set up. Our first goal is if we get $180 a month through Patreon, we will get webcams, which we're kind of on top of right now, and we're getting our Twitch updated as well. If you've checked out our page, currently it is looking a little different than it did before. We did attempt to do some video for our podcast tonight, but things fell through. So we are continually working on it, and we plan to up our Twitch and our YouTube page to provide our listeners with more video content. So yeah, that would be our first goal. Second goal is better audio equipment. And so if you love the show, the money that we get from our patrons goes right back into the show. We want to continue to up the quality of this and provide you with better content and video content as well, just because we feel that is important for you guys to give to you guys. So yeah, Patreon, Real Dudes Podcast. So, developer Connor ORT Linning. We had received an email recently for a game called Towards the Pantheon.
I will say real quick, I want to apologize to the developer because we did receive your code way back in like May, and that was just a bad timing for us because we ended up getting super backed up with a bunch of stuff. So we have been, I have been able to play the game finally. So I just want to say, Connor ORT Linning, thank you for your patience. Thank you for the game. We have been able to play it, and I'm happy to say that we are finally able to talk about it on the show. But sorry it took a while. So anyway, Toward the Pantheon, it is, we got a free code from the developer for Steam. And it is a classic, very classic style looking, like we're talking like SNES type RPG. It's turn-based RPG. On the surface, it plays out like a normal RPG game where, something mysterious happens. Hero wakes up basically in the house of the town they start off in, and then boom, off you go. Save the world, kid. As far as turn-based RPG goes, I did enjoy it quite a bit. I do enjoy turn-based RPGs in general anyway, but I did like the battling system quite a bit because there was a small twist. There's like collectible cards and combos you can find and collect. And from there, you can incorporate that into the battling system, which was actually kind of cool. It was different but cool. It was a nice, refreshing thing. And there were no random battles. Because I hate random encounters. Like, I hate it. And so if you're like walking out in the world, like the open world part of it and everything, you'll see enemies like walking around and they'll appear and disappear. Sometimes they'll like follow you, sometimes they won't, but you can just go up to them and then battle them and then, do the battle and then boom. So I did enjoy that a lot because it made grinding a heck of a lot easier when I had to do that.
So, would you say, as far as the battle itself, from what I saw from the game, it looks pretty similar to like a older Final Fantasy or even Chrono Trigger. The battle screen does. Was it smooth?
Yeah, it was very smooth. I mean, it was on Steam, so the good thing is, I do have a gaming PC, but you don't really need much to run it, which is nice. So if anyone out there is thinking, "Oh, my PC's not good enough," I mean, a potato could run this game. So it's easily accessible to all gamers. All you have to do is have a PC. It should run it just fine.
Very cool. Was there a lot as far as your team that you built within the game? Like, were you able to switch characters around and kind of set up your own fighting style?
Yeah. It was pretty nice. You start off with one character, the main character, and then you find, I think it's like a cat, I think, is next, and he's pretty cool. You do get a few more members after that, which is nice. And then you can change them in and out as you need to, which, like I said, it does remind you of a very classic RPG with a small twist. So if you're into Final Fantasy or Chrono Trigger, I would actually highly recommend this game. It didn't take too long, so it's not your classic JRPG. So I would say it took me about 8 to 10 hours.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say you're not grinding 80 hours.
Yeah, you're not gonna spend 80, 100 hours on this. So it's much shorter than something like that. More like a Mass Effect, because Mass Effect took me about 12 hours the first time through.
Okay, I'm a sucker for this kind of art style because it looks very much like a Stardew Valley, or it looks like your older RPGs. As far as the theme or the location of where you're at, it almost looks like an old school fantasy game, but then it also throws you into the middle of like a city and sewers and stuff.
Yeah, there is.
I haven't really seen that.
There's definitely like varying locations. One thing I did love about it were the colors. The colors made everything pop in a way, if that makes sense. And then there was like little cutscenes where everything looked way more detailed than the normal game, which was nice too. And the music was very hit or miss for me, which was wasn't expecting. Like, there were some songs I was digging really hard, and then some I wasn't really feeling it. So like the opening, like the first town you're in, that song kind of annoyed me, but the overworld and the battle music, I was digging it pretty well.
Okay, so the general crowd of people, I mean, who would you think this game would appeal to?
I think it would appeal to your RPG lovers who need a small itch to, what's the word I'm looking for?
Fill?
Yeah, a small itch to fill or scratch or however you want to put it, to satisfy even, if you will. Because like I said, it's only about 8 or 10 hours, so it's not going to take you long to finish. Other than that, I would not recommend it for like a general audience. I've never really played RPGs before. I wouldn't recommend this game necessarily, only because it was kind of difficult. If you're used to playing these kinds of games, you'll find it really easy. But if you're not used to this kind of game, it's going to be a challenge for sure.
Okay. So, I mean, what would you rate this?
I would say a solid 7 out of 10.
Okay.
It wasn't. It didn't do anything for me. Like, I'm not gonna be like, oh my gosh, you got to play this game. But at the same time, I didn't feel like I was bored or anything like that.
Okay. And that is currently $9.99 on Steam. So
yeah.
a game 7 out of 10. I mean, that definitely is something that is worth playing, especially if you are a RPG fan.
Once again, the game is called Toward the Pantheon.
And that is by Connor O.R.T. Linning. Maybe, it was probably about a year ago, I'm thinking, close to that. We had covered a game called Kid Tripp.
From Four Horses?
Yes, sir. Creator Mick Waits. It was ported over to the Switch by, or no, I'm sorry, not Mick Waits. Creator Michael Burns originally created the game on mobile platform. Mick Waits from Four Horses had ported the game over to the Switch. And if you haven't played Kid Tripp, strongly suggest that you go pick it up now and play it. But along with that, they had recently released the sequel to it, which is Miles and Kilo. And they were giving enough to allow us to have a couple review codes. So we were able to play it on the Switch. And my goodness, it holds up. As much as I love Kid Tripp, I really enjoyed Miles and Kilo a lot. And that game is built for the Switch. Those kind of games, those old school platforming, scrolling games are just, they're so good to play on the go. And especially like for me, I play on my lunch break at work. It is perfect for picking up and playing for 15 to 20 minutes and then putting it back down, and then the next day doing the same thing. Karrington, how was your experience with it?
I thoroughly enjoyed it. I actually played the entire thing on stream from beginning to end on July 4th. So if you are listening to us and you want to check it out, you go ahead to our Twitch page, twitch.tv/RealDudesPod, and see for how the game is for yourself. I personally enjoyed it, and I liked it more so than Kid Tripp for a lot of reasons. I will say one thing I was surprised about. It was easier than Kid Tripp. So keep that in mind. It was still tough. So Miles and Kilo is still a nice little challenge. But Kid Tripp was definitely harder in my opinion. But the boss fights were the highlights of that game. Those are some really good, well-designed boss fights.
Yeah. Andrew, Cody, did you guys have a chance to check the game out at all or play it?
I did not.
Okay.
That would be a negative.
Okay. So it like Karen said, it is similar to Kid Tripp in ways. I thought it was easier as well, except for the fact I died more in it. So I don't know if that, makes it not as easy as Kid Tripp. There was one level in that game that I died 540 plus times.
Wow.
Yeah. That would be World 5-2.
I think I died that much in general.
See, and I would have died that much in general. My total deaths throughout the game was 1,006, and half of that was spent on one level.
Wow.
Oh, I can't. And it was my fault. I kept doing the same thing over and over and over, thinking that I could eventually get the one particular jump that I needed, and I never landed. And I thought, well, maybe I should just experiment and see if I can jump earlier or something. But it was so in 5-2, there's 4 trees lined up towards the end. You jump on 3 that keep going up, and then 1 that goes down. There's a monkey on 1, and as you throw your fruit at the monkey, you have to jump on the tree, hit a bird, and jump onto a vine.
Oh, well, yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah. So that was just brutal, man. I kept missing getting hit by the bird. I wouldn't jump enough. I would hit the vine, and then as soon as you jump off the vine, fire would start hitting the ground and spreading, and you had to run away from it. And then right at the end, before you hit the sign at the end of the world there was 1 drop of fire that would drop. And if you didn't jump in time, you would get hit by it, literally feet away from that sign. I almost rage quit that game.
And what doesn't help either, so Kid Tripp is an auto runner. Miles and Kilo, when you're controlling Miles, is not an auto runner, so you have to physically be, you know, make sure you're pushing the control stick in the direction you want him to run. Otherwise, he's not going to move.
Yeah. Yeah. They do have an auto run mode for it, which I haven't tried yet. But I agree with you, man. Those boss fights were so much fun and added a lot to the experience. Because I look forward to the end of each level.
Yeah, me too. And
encounter that boss.
I will say, I played it on docked mode only because I played the whole thing on
really?
stream. Yeah, so I didn't face any lag or anything like that. Which I'm playing Kid Tripp. I faced a little bit of like input lag, but I didn't get any this time around.
Yeah, I was the other way around. I played a little bit docked, but I mostly played handheld, and it ran great for being on handheld. I gotta say, yeah, man, World 5-2 was the hardest one for me, and someone tweeted at me saying that they had a lot of difficult with the final boss, and I got that within 10 tries.
I agree. I was a little disappointed in the final boss fight because it was pretty easy.
Yeah.
The hardest boss for me was the mummy, and when he threw those boomerangs, like to me that was the hardest boss for me.
Yep.
Timing those boomerangs was tough.
I thought the story was real good. It was very simple. Basically, you're in a plane at the beginning of the game. Plane breaks down onto an island, and then these monsters come and steal your parts. And your goal is to get through all 5 worlds and get the parts back to your plane so you can get off of the island. And I think some of the bosses you fight is a pirate. You've got some kind of like shadowed figure, which is the final boss. Ripple is his name. And then my favorite was the pirate, because I was paying attention to the detail of the animation within the pirate fight. And what you're doing is you're running, and he's throwing bombs at you. And I can't remember what other obstacles are at your way. But as he throws bombs, you have to hit him back at him to bring his health down. But in the background, there's a pirate ship shooting cannonballs at you. And I was sitting there paying attention to that. And I just thought that was such a neat little animation to add to that whole scene. Because they didn't have to really throw it in there. I mean, you could just think, well, cannonballs, pirate is... weapons that a pirate uses, but just to have that ship following you in the background shooting those cannonballs was really neat to see. So, I mean, I love this game. I really have nothing bad to say about it.
And I will say too, there was a lot going on sometimes from time to time, like that pirate ship boss. There's a lot going on between the pirate ship having animated and doing stuff in the background, and the cannonballs when they hit, they explode and stuff. So and that wasn't the only level where there was a lot of stuff going on, and I didn't drop any frames at all. So my hats off to Michael Burns and Mick Waits for making that game run as smoothly for that kind of game.
Yeah. Yep. So I think that's all that I had written down for the game itself. If you have not played this game, and if you love old school platforming games, this is something that you really do want to pick up. It is affordable on Switch. I think it's $8 right now. They were running a special. If you bought this, you'd get Kid Tripp as well. But yeah, I highly recommend this. Karrington, what would you rate this game?
See, I will say it's really hard. Either 7. I'm gonna give it a 7.5 out of 10. Okay. It was a lot easier than Kid Tripp, and I was not expecting that. I was hoping it would be a little harder, but it wasn't. But other than that, I had a great time with it. It ran really well. Music's fantastic. Boss fights are something to look forward to. It was just super easy and super short. I think I beat it in about 4 hours, if that. Okay.
My runtime was 3.5. Which is funny because I think half that time was spent on World 5.
Yeah. What would you give it, Kyle?
I was pushing more for the 8.5.
Okay.
But I do agree, thinking about it as far as it being short, I wish it was a little bit longer, but I am excited to see what these guys pull out of their hat next. Anything that Michael or Mick put their hands on is guaranteed to be great quality. So
I agree. And Mick has said that even though Miles and Kilo is technically a sequel to Kid Tripp, he says there is more storyline in between those two because some time has passed between both games. So, and just keep that in mind too. Like if you decide to get Kid Tripp and Miles and Kilo at the same time, which I highly recommend, by the way, some time does pass. So there is a story to be told. And also listen to our interviews with Mick Waits because he's a fantastic guy, fantastic creator, and he's always entertaining to have on the show.
Yep. All right, let's take a quick break.
What's up, everybody? I'm Tyler.
I'm Lucas. And I'm Chris.
And we're Better Than Static. We meet up once a week and talk about movies, comics, and video games.
I don't want to talk about that.
What? Why are you complaining about all the topics I bring up? I'm trying to sound professional, Chris.
But we're not that good.
We are too good.
We may not be great, but we are better than Static.
You guys can hit up iTunes, Podbean, Google Play, and YouTube to check us out.
If you like video games, debates, and silly banter, you'll love Gamerheads Podcast.
Outside of your store, because I do feel like your store knows its identity. I do. I think that you guys know what you are. No?
Not always.
Really?
It sells fidget spinners.
Well,
not anymore.
I mean, for a while.
Not anymore.
Not You're experimenting with
anymore.
That's what I'm saying, though. You were just experimenting.
Golf was made by a Japanese guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go Iwata.
Yeah.
The game.
Yeah, not the sport.
Yeah.
Okay, I was like, huh.
Well, speaking of Nintendo.
Follow Gamerheads on Podbean at gamerheadspodcast.podbean.com.
Have you ever been reading through a stack of comics and thought, hey, maybe I should see what this Arkham Asylum game is all about? Or been playing Marvel vs. Capcom and felt like you were at a real disadvantage because you didn't know who half the characters were? Well, Play Comics is the show for you. I'm Chris, and each episode, I take a look at video games based on comic book properties and how well they stick to that source material. So, whether you know the comics and want to actually learn how these games work, or know the games and want to know what the hell is going on, go check out Play Comics at playcomics.com, the Brain Trust Bros Network, or wherever you find your favorite podcasts.
And welcome back to Real Dudes Podcast. Really hope you enjoyed all those great ads because, we love letting you listen to ads. And we're on to the news. Before we get into this little bit here, recently I put up a poll of on Twitter, on my personal page, if you had a chance to play any of these games, which one would you play? Or if you had chances to buy one, it was Hollow Knight, Celeste, and Stardew Valley. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because we're about to go into some news about Hollow Knight. But Stardew Valley came first, Hollow Knight came second, and Celeste came at a far bottom third. Hollow Knight and Celeste Stardew Valley were neck and neck, which I kind of found surprising because even now I'm still hearing a lot of buzz about Celeste, about it being a lot of people's favorite game this year.
Yeah, I'm surprised because I was looking at that poll and I was a little disappointed that Celeste is so far behind. Not to badmouth any of the other games that were on that list, but Celeste is definitely on the list of my game of the year this year.
Yeah. It's, they're all great quality games. And the reason why I'm mentioning this is because Hollow Knight, their DLC is coming in August, Gods and Glory. And unfortunately, we haven't had a chance to really talk about Hollow Knight on the podcast. But maybe this will be a game that we can talk about in August, along with Overcooked. But the big thing about this DLC coming in August is it's free, which you don't hear that a lot or too often as far as getting more story DLC for a game. So that is really cool, and that will be out on, I'm guessing, Switch and all other platforms. Has anybody had a chance to play Octopath Traveler? Because it is out.
Not yet, but it's on my list to buy.
Yeah. And that is a JRPG that is like 80 hours long.
Yeah. And something I find interesting is that when it was, first announced, it was like Project Octopath Traveler, working title in progress, and now it's Octopath Traveler. So the name didn't change.
Yeah. Stayed true to itself. Our last actual episode, we had the off-topic discussion of Sony not being real supportive of crossplay. Nintendo is helping devs implement crossplay if they want it. So how cool is that for Nintendo to be like with open arms saying, here, we're going to help you have crossplay within your game if you want that.
It's surprising that Nintendo did this because they've been so closed off from the other big game developers, being Microsoft and PlayStation. I find this very surprising and a good move at the same time. Good PR for them.
Yeah.
Take me into your loving arms. That's what Nintendo is saying right now.
Saying or singing?
Both.
Okay. Cody, this one's for you, buddy. Joaquin Phoenix plays Joker in a standalone origin Joker film.
Yay. I don't know much about Mr. Phoenix. I can't pronounce the first name. Joaquin, is it?
Joaquin.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Interesting. Joaquin. But I'd really do like the Joker, and an origin story of him and everything will be really cool. I'm curious to see how they take that and what route they go. If it's more comic books or whatnot.
I have a feeling if it's anything like The Killing Joke, it's going to be very dark.
Yeah, me too.
Very dark. And I mean, that's what the Joker is. I mean, he is literally, in my opinion, one of the darkest and baddest villains of all comic book lore.
Like, even in like the Arkham games, the last one was M because of a Joker scene.
Yeah.
And if they took that out, it would be teen just like the rest. But he made it that more like that dark aspect of it. So it's going to be a neat movie for sure. Joaquin is better than
Leto.
Jared Leto.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think anyone's better than Jared Leto.
I completely agree with you. Joaquin is so from if I remember correctly, they say that the way that he acts is very similar to the way that Heath Ledger acts. I can't remember what kind of
like
it is what you call method acting.
Yeah, he's a method actor.
Method actor.
Which Jared Leto is also a method actor, by the way.
Oh.
Yeah, no, they're very well. I'll just say this, Joaquin Phoenix definitely like makes you believe that he is that character in everything I've ever seen him in.
Yeah.
Like he's done so well in roles that I've seen him in, like that he affected my view of him in like subsequent movies because I just like so identified him with that previous character and like there was one movie that like I hated his character, and so for like the next 3 movies I would see him in, I'd be like, God, I hate that guy, and he could have been like the best guy ever, but I'm just like that freaking guy. So no, I think he's a very good actor.
So would you like to see a voiceover of Mark Hamill while Joaquin just kind of moves his mouth?
I wouldn't be opposed.
I mean, Mark Hamill
like a
is
Godzilla
the Joker's
movie.
voice. I mean, come on.
Yeah. I'm excited to see this. I think the movie is scheduled to release in 2019 from what I've read.
So,
but it's a long time coming.
We're talking about
it's okay, because in the meantime, we have a Venom movie, so...
Yep.
If we're talking about exciting like movie/TV show announcements, I can't believe Karrington hasn't already mentioned the Clone Wars.
It's next. It is next, man.
Go for it.
Go for it, Karrington. Gosh, I know you're ready.
San Diego Comic-Con is going on right now, which, of course, we're not there. But hey, if you're out there listening, support us on Patreon, and we can give that kind of coverage for you guys here on this show. Anyway, so a small franchise, that no one probably knows about, Star Wars. It's coming back. Star Wars The Clone Wars is coming back with 12 episodes. So basically, these episodes is the story that they were originally wanting to tell instead of the season 6 storyline that they were kind of rushed to get out after Disney bought out the Star Wars franchise. The creators, Dave Filoni, he had a certain story set in mind. And with these 12 episodes, he's hoping to tell that story and get that chance. And the trailer is out. And if you have not watched it, I would highly recommend it because I had chills from the moment it started. It is a fantastic trailer, and I cannot wait to see it. The only bad thing is you will have to subscribe to Disney's streaming service to watch it.
Dude, why do I feel like Disney, as like the evil empire that it is becoming and actually has been for quite some time, it's just really emerging finally. I feel like that is like something they've had in their back pocket for like the last couple of years, honestly. They're like, we're not going to bring that show back until it makes sense to help us launch something that will make us even richer.
Does that mean they're taking all their stuff off of Netflix and Hulu's and stuff like that?
That's been the plan for like a year now.
All the Star Warses that they put on there, they're just taking them out now.
Anything Disney related, they informed Netflix like sometime last year that like they were not going to renew their contract.
It's definitely crappy for parents. Because like I feel like for myself, I might be all right without a Disney streaming service, but when you have a kid and there's tons of movies on there that you want them to see, it's like it's a given. You've got to pay for it.
Yeah, I could see that. And speaking of Disney, which is not in the notes, but I just thought of it because it's brand new news as far as this morning. Comcast decided to bail out on their bid for Fox, and Disney is now buying Fox for $70 billion.
Only $70 billion?
Yeah, that's it. No big deal.
Okay. Well.
So Disney will now own the X-Men, and I think the Fantastic Four and Deadpool are in that.
I didn't even think about that.
That deal,
dude. And the next Deadpool will be rated PG-13.
Dude, my goodness, Disney's just buying everything. Oh my gosh.
Soon they're going to buy the White House and NASA.
I know, and pretty soon you're going to have to subscribe to Disney in order to breathe the air around you.
Yeah. Are you a Disney subscriber? Oh, put on this low quality air.
The only thing, as far as the Marvel Universe is now concerned, the only franchise they do not own that I can think of is The Incredible Hulk, surprisingly. Universal owns Incredible Hulk.
Wow.
We need a good Incredible Hulk movie.
I agree.
Another one?
Absolutely. No, we need to, for real this time. Good one. Yes.
Although I was a fan of Edward Norton.
I agree. I don't
know if a whole lot of people like that movie, but I did.
No,
I liked it.
I think it was underappreciated, really. I think it was just because everybody was so turned off from the first one. And it was kind of, like that second one came out when it was kind of a lull in the superhero movie thing. And so, it was just bad timing. But.
Plus, Edward Norton he's a good actor.
Oh, he's a really good actor. Yeah, he can play anything.
Speaking of good actors in movies, Karrington, I don't know if this is in the notes or not, but
it is. I know where you're going, and it is. Go ahead.
Go ahead then. Read my mind, and I'll tell you.
So, a small actor known as Nathan Fillion decided, hey, I'm going to release this Uncharted fan film, and it is fantastic.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Even my whole family at this point has seen the Uncharted fan film. So for those of you out there who haven't seen it, why are you listening to us? Stop right now, listen to it, then come back.
Hey,
bye, guys.
Maybe just wait till the episode is over. Just wait. We've got like 20 minutes left.
It is.
If this is as good as Karrington says, I got to go.
Hey.
It is really good, honestly. I mean, it's basically just setting up a movie. It's only a 15-minute video, so... but it's basically like a really solid start to a movie, just kind of enough to really draw you in and be like, oh my gosh, this could be amazing. I'm hoping that people with actual pull in the movie industry are watching this freaking thing and maybe it'll be enough to push them over the edge.
And the most impressive part, I thought personally, was just one small bit where as soon as Nathan Fillion
the video game part.
Yep, you knew exactly where I was going.
Oh yeah, I know exactly. That shot was awesome.
My gosh, that entire scene was amazing.
Yeah, it literally made you feel like you were right back in the game.
Yep.
Now
that was impressive.
Now, where can people like me find this? Is it on YouTube, or do we have to
go
to
the good old YouTubes? It is a little hard to find on YouTube, but it's there.
Okay.
Yeah, pay Disney first, then you can watch on YouTube.
Pay Disney, then you can watch it.
But no, there was a couple actors. Well, I know for sure one actor that a lot of people will at least recognize his face in there, besides Nathan Fillion of Firefly, of course, among other awesome stuff, because everything Nathan Fillion does is amazing.
Is gold.
But yeah, it was. I'm was super impressed.
And one last thing on the news, Spider-Man on the PS4. It is getting its own console.
Finally.
And it looks sweet.
I've been waiting for that one. I'm planning on getting a PS4 basically for Spider-Man.
For Spider-Man, same.
And I've been waiting. Like, are they gonna make a bundle, or are they gonna make a Spider-Man PS4? So this is gonna be sitting on my mantle.
Just breaking news right now just came up on my feed, Cody. Actually, Sony just sold those rights to Nintendo. So if you want to do that, you're gonna
screw it. Not happening. I'll play the best Spider-Man game on the original PlayStation. I'll just play that one.
The gauntlet is down, Nintendo. I feel like Cody needs to have one of those sit downs and be like, Nintendo sucks. Changed my mind.
Oh yeah. And then everyone will just walk past me like, yeah, you got a point.
Oh. Wow.
So speaking of which, this is perfect into our off-topic discussion. Will we ever see an end to the fanboy discussion? Saying, so this was brought up in our last interview with Patrick Hickey Jr., which if you haven't listened to, you should definitely listen to. One fantastic guy, fantastic interview. Anyway, he said, and I quote, "You are not a gamer if you're dedicated to one particular console." So do you think we will ever see an end to that discussion? Wow. That just shut everybody up. I was not expecting that.
I don't, but I do agree with what he said completely. I think that we're going to continue to have those fanboys and girls. Don't want to sound sexist, but I think that each console has their true dedicated fans, and I think that especially if they keep running with if consoles still have their exclusives. I mean, there's going to be people that prefer one console over the other.
Guys, I just solved the puzzle. Okay, this debate is null and void because Disney's going to buy them all, and there's just going to be one console.
The Disney Excelsior.
Pretty much. Go ahead, God. I'm sorry, I just couldn't resist.
No, you're fine. But I do agree with what he said. How can you call yourself a gamer and cut off from other consoles? I mean, there's got to be something on every console that is somewhat appealing to you.
I can agree.
Care to reply?
What?
I was just gonna say, like, if let's say I'm a Nintendo fan, I'm like a Nintendo, like even though I'm a fan, but this is hypothetical. The hardcore Nintendo fan out there, there's a game for that person on every console as an exclusive, and I can give an example for each one. Being if you want to go ahead and on the Xbox, there's Sea of Thieves out there, which as a Nintendo fanboy, which means you love Rare, and all of their stuff is amazing, and you can get all of Rare's stuff on Microsoft's console, whether it be Banjo-Kazooie, Jet Force Gemini, any of their games are on Microsoft platforms now, which is fantastic.
Hold on. Jet Force Gemini is on Xbox?
Yeah, man, on Rare Replay, where it has like
I didn't realize that was on Replay.
Yeah, man, I've played it and beaten it on the Xbox. I love that game. It's one of my favorite games on N64.
Super good.
On PlayStation, I mean, Crash was available first, the remake, and there's a Spyro remake coming out, and there's also games like Spider-Man, which I'm sure everyone will absolutely love. So as far as like if you are a Nintendo hardcore fanboy, there is a game for you on every console, guaranteed.
Yeah.
I'd agree. Wow. Go ahead, Cody. Go ahead.
No, I was agreeing. Continue.
No, it's just, I mean, I guess I can see both sides of it, really. I think I'll absolutely grant you, Karrington, that, yeah, there's a game for everybody on every console. There's and no doubt multiple, but certainly there's at least one for every console you could find that you would absolutely adore. But at the same time, I mean, I think that's kind of a little harsh, if for lack of a better term, to say that if you don't play on multiple consoles that you're not really a gamer. I mean, because what defines a gamer? Is it the number of hours you put in, the number of games you play, how passionate you are about a specific franchise? I mean, or is it just what you personally, because there's a lot of people that, literally spend 8 or 10 hours a day, 6 or 7 days a week playing video games, maybe more than that. But certainly some that would fall in at least that category where it is literally their job. And they might look at somebody who games, because that's all the time they have to spare, and maybe games like 4 or 5 hours a week. And, are they going to say, well, you're not a gamer because you don't log 20 hours on, all the consoles and PC as well, or however many hours. So, I mean, that's really a very broad brush to use, I think, to say that you have to have multiple consoles or play on multiple consoles to be a true gamer.
I don't know if it's just the fact of playing on multiple consoles. I think it's more the fact of, not being dedicated to just one specific company or one specific console. I think it's being able to find light within everything and being able to see games that appeal on all platforms, as opposed to just being a die-core.
Wow, nice. I like it.
And there's your term of the day, die-core.
That's going to be on a shirt.
Oh, I'm putting on a shirt. I'm going to put on a shirt. So anyone out there who wants merch, it'll be on a shirt coming up soon.
Die-core. Hardcore, like, Sony fan, or a hardcore Microsoft fan, or a hardcore Nintendo fan. Like, I personally find a lack of respect in somebody that only sticks to one particular thing, because it's like calling a movie critic or someone who loves movies someone who just loves a specific genre of movies a movie critic if they state their opinion on every type of movie. I guess, does that make sense? I don't know if it does.
Well,
but anyways,
I guess at the same time, though, that's kind of like saying that you're not really a car person if you don't like every brand of car, or almost every brand of car. And I mean, that's getting a little more broad because there's a lot more brands, but still, I think there's some aspect of truth in that. If, do you not have some respect for, just because, like I said, I know Cody's a big Subaru fan, just because Cody's a Subaru fan, if he doesn't also love Ford or whatever, does that then make him not a car guy?
No.
I don't know, because I mean,
as long as you're not repping Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, you're good. I don't think any car guy has a respect for them. So no.
Well, you see what I'm saying, though. I mean, and once again, it's a lot bigger. Also the amount of brands is a lot larger, but still, I mean.
But then it goes into the point of, like, do you not like them because of the name, or do you not like them because of the cars that they make? Because I was not a Ford guy for a long time, but recently, like, with some of the cars they've been making, they've been a lot more impressive with their product compared to what they were years ago.
No, I said I'm maybe getting off topic. I guess we're just trying to illustrate the point with cars there that it. Once again, I just don't think that you can really say. I don't see the issue personally. I mean, obviously, I have all three consoles, and I personally agree that like all three have some very strong games and some very awesome aspects that are specific to them, and that anybody, if they gave it a chance, would enjoy. However, I don't think that I've ever had any quote lack of respect or a dimmer view of somebody who is just like, yep, I'm Xbox all day, every day, and I have no desire to play the others. Just because maybe they say, I only have so much time to be able to play video games anyway.
Right.
And Xbox is cranking out more than enough content for me. I can't even keep up with it as it is. So why spend more money on and basically just get further and further behind on games I want to play?
Yeah.
And
that is understandable.
I will say this too, because not as gamers, and we do have lives, and some of us have families and things like that. We don't have the money also to purchase multiple consoles. So I think a lot of people in that position who maybe only have the money to spend on one console will then be like, okay, so I bought a PS4, for example, and that's all the money I have. So I'm going to defend my purchase because I don't want to make that Xbox fanboy or that Nintendo fanboy make it look like I bought the inferior console. So I have to defend my choice to the death, so to speak.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I don't know. It's a difficult subject to tackle just because I don't know. You guys just brought really good points up. My brain has just gone blank. Time to die core.
Let's do it.
Ooh, it's gonna catch on. I'm feeling it.
Yeah.
I feel it coming.
I don't know. I guess it goes to the point. If you love games and you like to play them, I mean that puts you into the category of a gamer, but
Unless
does it put you into the category of a die-core gamer.
Unless you play mobile games exclusively, then of course you're not a gamer. I think that's universally accepted.
No, that's absolutely. If you're mobile only, you're not a gamer.
Exactly.
But what if that's the only platform that you can afford?
No. Actually, we draw the line there. Like
there goes all of our mobile gamers.
No, that's where like the subhuman line is.
Exactly.
I hate to say it though, because you think of like games like Kid Tripp, Miles and Kilo. That's where they got their start from.
No. It's not that you can't play them at all. It's if you're
Right.
exclusively mobile games, you're not a gamer.
Saying, I don't want to play anything else. Mobile games are the best.
Yes,
Yeah.
if you're one of those people,
Okay.
they do exist. I've seen them.
Oh
It
man,
doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense.
But I
at
think
all.
between PC gamers and console gamers, we can all agree on one thing: mobile gamers are not real gamers.
And Nintendo is crap. Good night, guys.